You see them every day, you share them, you laugh at them, you might even make them. But what if I told you that the very idea of a meme is way, way deeper and more powerful than just a funny picture on the internet? What if it's the key to understanding, well, everything, culture, belief, even the thoughts rattling around in your own head? Okay, let's get into it.
We're going to start with this quote from Morris Berman, because it just hits the nail on the head and perfectly frames what we're talking about today. We're going to walk right up to that fine line between a simple thought that you control and a massive system of ideas that, well, that might just control you.
All right, so here's the plan. We'll kick things off with the memes we all know, the internet stuff. Then we're going to rewind to see where this whole concept was born, in a science lab, not a message board. We'll unpack what makes an idea go viral, see how these things build entire cultures, and then we're going to bring it all home by turning that lens back on ourselves.
Okay, part 1. When we say the word meme, pretty much everyone thinks they know what we're talking about. But to really get it, we have to look past the funny cat picture. I mean, this is it, right? When I say meme, this is the kind of thing that pops into your head. A viral video, a clever image, something you'd share in a group chat. And look, you're not wrong. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's the most recent, most visible part of a much bigger, much older idea.
So here's the question that changes everything. What if the original idea of a meme had less to do with humor and more to do with, say, a virus? What if we're really talking about thought contagion, a basic unit of our culture that spreads from one mind to another, just like a biological infection?
To wrap our heads around that, we need to log off the internet for a minute. We got to go back in time to the world of science where the concept of the meme was actually born.
So get this. The word meme was coined way back in 1975. Not by some tech guru, but by a zoologist, Richard Dawkins. He was writing about evolution and realized he needed a word for a unit of cultural evolution, an idea that copies itself, that mutates, that evolves, just like a gene does. The idea got picked up by other scientists in the 80s, but it really caught on in the 90s, when the whole world was already thinking about computer viruses and real-world epidemics. The metaphor was just perfect.
And this brings us to the original scientific definition. So for a second, I want you to totally forget the internet jokes. A meme, at its core, is just an information pattern that can copy itself from one brain to another. It could be a tune, a catchphrase, a way of building an arch, anything.
You know, this isn't some brand new concept. Long before Dawkins, people like Thomas Jefferson were already thinking about the weird, contagious nature of ideas. He compared them to fire, saying they can spread everywhere without getting weaker. Think about it. If I share my candle's flame with you, my own candle doesn't get dimmer. And if I share an idea with you, I don't lose it. We both have it. The pattern just replicates.
So, if ideas are these little replicators, what makes one a hit? Why do some ideas spread like wildfire while others just fizzle out? Well, it turns out there are some basic rules to the game.
To figure that out, we can go back to Dawkins. He said any successful replicator, whether it's a gene or an idea, needs 3 things. First, fidelity. How good is the copy? Is it a perfect replica or does it get distorted? Second, fecundity. How fast can it spread? And third, longevity. How long does it stick around to get copied again? For an idea to really take hold and last, it needs to do pretty well in all 3 categories.
And this is where comparing memes to genes gets really fascinating. See, genes transmit vertically, from parent to child. It's a slow, generational process. But memes? They transmit horizontally. From me to you, you to your friend, friend to a stranger on the bus. It can happen in seconds. It's less like inheritance and more like an infection. The big trade-off, though, is fidelity. Gene copying is incredibly precise. Memes? They're often fuzzy. They change and mutate a little bit every time they're passed on.
All right, so we've got the basic mechanics down. Now let's zoom way out. Because these infectious ideas, they aren't just some background noise. They are the literal architects of human culture.
And this is where the sheer scale of this concept just blows your mind. We are not just talking about little fads here. We are talking about religions, languages, fashion trends and hit songs. We're talking about scientific theories, political ideologies, even that weird Kilroy was here doodle that soldiers spread all over the world in World War II. These are all memes, all competing for the very limited real estate inside our heads.
So how does a simple little idea become a massive world-changing force? Well, they don't go it alone. They team up. They form these gangs, basically, called a memeplex. It's a whole collection of related memes that all support and reinforce each other, creating a big, powerful, and really resilient belief system. A religion isn't one idea. It's a whole complex of them, all working together.
Now, in this whole model of information spreading like a disease, there are different roles. You've got a host. That's a mind that can actually understand an idea, think about it, and then pass it on. But then you also have a vector. A vector is just a carrier. A book can be a vector. An email is a vector. And yep, a person can be a vector too, if they're just repeating something they heard without really understanding what it means.
And this leads us to a really fascinating and maybe a little unsettling conclusion. If culture is just built out of memes, that means it can be engineered. People can do it on purpose. This is the whole field of memetic engineering, using the right symbols, the right stories, the right aesthetics to deliberately shape how people think. And this isn't some sci-fi fantasy. It's the basic playbook for advertising, for propaganda, for psychological and information warfare.
And that brings us right back to where we started. We're at our last stop, and this is where things get personal. This is where we turn this whole powerful idea back on the very thing you're doing right now.
That's right. The idea of memetics, this whole explainer you've been watching, is itself a meme. It's an information pattern that has just copied itself through its sources, through this format, and right into your memory. You've just been infected with the metameme, the meme about memes.
So why on earth does this matter? Is it just a cool intellectual party trick? No, absolutely not. Understanding this is a form of mental self-defense. It's like getting a vaccination for your mind. When you understand how ideas infect and spread, you get way better at spotting the dangerous ones, whether it's a cult, a crazy political ideology, or just a viral disinformation campaign sweeping across the internet.
So we'll leave you with this, a question to really chew on. Take a moment and think about your own worldview, the ideas you defend, the things you hold most dear, and ask yourself, which of those beliefs do you actually possess, and which of them, like an ideology, might just possess you?